On February 5th, 2021, I made a video called Recently Acquired Movies Part 1. This is the second part of that series, Recently Acquired Movies Part 2, just a brief 2.5 years following Part 1. I hope you enjoy this journey into movies and other stuff. Okay, so the first one here is Continental Divide, starring John Belushi and Blair Brown. This was John Belushi's last movie. I enjoyed it. I just finished watching it just this afternoon. Here's an interesting story about this movie, depending on your definition of interesting. Back in 1981, my mom took me to see this movie. Why, you ask? Well, because she had taken me to go see a movie called Comin' At Ya, which was a 3D movie. Back in the early 80s, there were a lot of 3D movies coming out, especially around 81 through 84. You might remember Jaws 3D, Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D, Treasure of the Four Crowns, The Man Who Wasn't There, Amityville 3D. Anyway, Comin' At Ya was one of the first ones that came out in wide release. Anyway, my mom took me to see this, and the 3D, as I remember, was pretty lousy. So, and neither one of us were enjoying it. Granted, I was, like 9 years old, so I didn't really know what I was looking at anyway, other than just like kind of some crappy 3D. Ultimately, I've seen it. I have that on Blu-ray, and I've watched it since then. It's not bad. But coming back to Continental Divide, we only got about 10 minutes through Comin' At Ya. And so we left, and my mom asked for a refund, and we got basically, tickets that would let us come back and see another movie. So a few weeks later, we went back to the same theater, the Irving Mall 1 through 3, and we saw Continental Divide, starring John Belushi and Blair Brown, which was, as I said, John Belushi's last movie. Now, this movie has something interesting. I think this is the first movie that has end credits that are kind of a tearjerker. At the end of this movie, during the credits, you see a lot of pictures of John Belushi and Blair Brown together, in character, in costumes stuff they were wearing during the movie. But I wonder if this was an intentional choice, because I don't remember if the movie was released after Belushi died or not. If so, that makes the end credits pretty poignant, because here's Belushi, who died recently. This movie does have a audio commentary, so they hopefully on the commentary it sheds some light on why that choice was made for the end credits. I think it's a great choice, and it is a little, tear-jerking, considering he died just either really before or very soon after this came out. Anyway, I enjoyed Continental Divide. 3 boar's heads out of 4. Alright, so that's the first movie. The next one is called Golden Girl, starring Bea Arthur as a woman who runs track in the Olympics. Just kidding, it's not Bea Arthur. It is famous model/actress Susan Anton, who you might remember from her short-lived variety show, which I think was called Featuring Susan Anton. Anyway, this movie is pretty good. It's about a woman who is trained by evil people to be like the perfect Olympian. It's pretty sci-fi-ish. I enjoyed it. It also has James Coburn, Robert Culp. You can't lose with Robert Culp. That's what I always say. And so yeah, this has a commentary which I've heard most of. It's a good commentary with who does that? Nathaniel Thompson. He's always great, and Howard S. Berger. If you ever seen Nathaniel Thompson is on a commentary, I recommend it, because no matter who he's with, those are always very informative. So Golden Girl. Next one is called Endangered Species, and this was a sci-fi movie that came out in, I think, 1983. It stars Robert Urich, who was on Vegas, and also features Jo Beth Williams, who was in the movie Poltergeist. She's the mom in that movie, in Poltergeist. Again, it's a pretty good sci-fi movie from the 80s. Not great, but it's entertaining. I enjoyed it. Again, this has a commentary. I haven't listened to. I started listening to it, but I haven't finished it yet. I'm only about 10 minutes in. But I enjoyed this movie also. Endangered Species. This is a Blu-ray version from Twilight Time of Melvin and Howard. Now, I just now realized that these are going to appear backwards in this video, so enjoy some backwards DVD and Blu-ray covers. And you don't have to say it, you're welcome. So, here's Melvin and Howard, or Drawo Dna Nivlin. Anyway, Melvin and Howard is an excellent movie, and this has a commentary track, which is the same one that was ported over from the DVD that came out sometime, I think, in the early 2000s. But it's better quality. It's a Blu-ray now, better quality. It's a really good movie. Basically, it's a fictional, I think, story of when this gentleman named Melvin picked up Howard Hughes hitchhiking. Actually, I think Howard Hughes was, like, I don't know, injured or something. I really have seen this movie. I know it doesn't seem like it. But it features Paul Le Mat and Jason Robards. Really good movie from 1980, Melvin and Howard. This is Grand Canyon. This is an interesting movie which fascinated me back in 1991 when I saw it at a theater. I don't remember which theater. And everyone welcome, please. Here's Nixie. Oh, I didn't mean to scare you away. Okay, all right. Grand Canyon stars Kevin Kline and Steve Martin. It has Mary Louise Parker, Alfre Woodard. Everyone welcome Nixie. Thank you for... Oh, okay. Grand Canyon is a really interesting movie. It's about wealthy people in LA in the early 90s and the way that they're connected. It's one of those movies that came out in the early 90s which kind of imparted the theory that like everything and everybody is connected in some way. Other movies like this include, I believe, Shortcuts. There's some, right, yeah, Nixie likes Shortcuts. She's a big Robert Altman fan. Yeah. Grand Canyon, isn't that cool? Yeah. Grand Canyon. Anyway, I like it. Steve Martin is in it in a rare dramatic role. He's not funny in this movie. He's not supposed to be funny, but it's a good performance by him and everyone in the cast actually. Grand Canyon, directed by Lawrence Kasdan, who also made The Big Chill back in 1983. I haven't seen that, The Big Chill, but I hear it's good. Next movie is Recorder. This is a very good documentary about Marion Stokes, a woman who, while she was alive, she recorded just about everything on television, especially newscasts and talk shows. And her collection, unfortunately she's passed on now, but Marion Stokes' collection of television programs is being salvaged and digitized, I believe, by the Internet Archive, archive.org. It's a great documentary. It's about her and why she recorded all these items. I think it's fantastic. I wish every person on Earth would have recorded everything on television in the 70s and 80s, because I would want that collection. I would want those collections. I don't know where I'd put them, but Recorder. And this has a commentary too, which I haven't. I watched the movie, I think originally on Tubi or one of the streaming services, but this has a documentary which I'm sure is good. I haven't listened to it yet, but anyway, Recorder. Recorder, about one of those instruments that you have to learn how to play when you're in junior high. Alright, the next movie is The Stone Killer, which features Charles Bronson and Norman Fell and John Ritter. That's an interesting thing about this movie is that it has two of the future cast members of Three's Company. So yeah, The Stone Killer is a good movie. It's been a while since I've seen it. This has a commentary by, I think, a Charles Bronson biographer. Basically a Bronson movie where he's a cop and he's chasing people and all that. So anyway, The Stone Killer. So at this point, I think the novelty of backwards DVDs and Blu-rays has kind of worn off. So I'm going to end this section right now. This has been part 2 of movies I've recently acquired. And I'm going to flip the camera around for part 2. All right. Well, have a good evening. Thank you.